I'm Josh, and he's Mark.
No, I'm Alex.
Oh, he's Alex. And this is Alter Ego Comics TV, episode 96. We're from Alter Ego Comics, a comic shop local to beautiful downtown Lima, Ohio. And we are here because we live in a solipsistic world where our opinions are the only ones that matter, and we're going to force them on you this week. So first up, last week's top picks. We've had a lot of cool stuff come out. One of my favorites was Green Lantern number 14. Still written by Jeff Johns. We've got art by Doug Mahnke. This picks up the stuff following out of the Green Lantern Annual and the other crossover with the War of the Lanterns, and it's just getting so good. You've got Hal and Sinestro trapped in some nether realm. You've got this new Arabic Green Lantern, Baz, and you've got my personal favorite, the Justice League shows up. And this is almost, if you're reading the Justice League, you should pick this issue up. It's written by the same guy, Jeff Johns. You've got the same great interplay between Batman and the Flash and this new Green Lantern, who's not the one they're familiar with. And it's just, DC is knocking it out of the park on Green Lantern, so you should check it out.
One of my picks this week is Uncanny X-Force number 33 by Rick Remender and Phil Noto. Uncanny X-Force has been a really good series. I've been on board ever since the beginning of X-Force, and it's just every time I read it, it's like I keep wanting to turn the page, like, what more? And then they see the to be continued, like, dang it, I need more though. This issue, it's if you've been reading it, then you'll know that there's a lot about this new person, Kid Apocalypse, everybody's calling him, and he's kidnapped by the new Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, and they're trying to make him Kid Apocalypse, trying to make him the new Apocalypse, and it has Age of Apocalypse Nightcrawler in it, and he does some really awesome teleportation on this issue. I saw, I was like, that is what's different between Age of Apocalypse and 616. It was really amazing.
Plus 616 Nightcrawler's dead.
Well, yeah,
so
he's
if you want
dead too.
Nightcrawler,
So
only place to find it.
Yes, the only place to find him is alive, at least alive, is this.
Yeah. And if you really enjoyed Uncanny Avengers, which was a big seller for us, very popular a couple weeks ago as part of the Marvel Now launch, that was written by Rick Remender, who's been writing Uncanny X-Force since it became Uncanny X-Force, and he's just been doing a great job. So if you've just discovered that you love him, you should go back and check those out. We should have all the trades in stock. Also out next week, Creator-Owned Heroes number 6. This is sort of like the stepchild of the comic world. It's not really a comic, it's not really a magazine. What it is awesome. It's produced by Jimmy Palmiotti, Steve Niles, and Justin Gray, who are some relatively big names in small-time books. And they've been continually doing little snippets and sort of anthology-style work in the series. And this week they bring on maybe my first favorite addition to the series. They bring in Darwin Cook. The actual comic story we see from Darwin Cook is actually one that was printed a couple years ago in one of the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund one-shots, but that was very limited circulation, so this is the first time I got to see it, and it was just so cool. Darwin Cook has a wonderful sense of pacing, and the way he tells his stories kind of throughout time is just amazing. So we get a short, maybe 6-page Darwin Cook story that was wonderful. I would have picked the book based on those 6 pages alone. But we also get the continuation of Niles and Palmiotti's previous series. We've got the cool one with the Hitman, where he's like getting hunted by other hitmen, and then there's guys in masks, like Mexican wrestlers. What do they call those? Luchadores? Luchadores. Whatever. My Spanish, no good. But very fun. I especially like the Niles story, which is sort of a Old West, mid-1800s story about evil and how to you pay for your sins in the long run, which is sort of a theme with Niles. But Creator-Owned Heroes, for its price, is the most bang for your buck. It took me 3 times as long to read these pages as it did to read any other issue that was out this week. So if you haven't checked it out, you totally should.
Next up is Avengers number 33 by Brian Michael Bendis and Mike Mayhew. Brian Michael Bendis is one of my favorite writers. I mean, he's constantly just taking charge of everything, and I love it.
I love it when Brian Bendis takes charge.
It's good stuff. But yeah, in this issue, we're finding more and more about the Innerverse, opposite of or Inner Space, I should say.
No, I think Inner Space was a movie with Martin Short and
either way,
the Microverse.
It's not a microverse, but it's
doesn't matter. Smaller than we are.
Yeah, very small. But we find out what's happened to Janet Van Dyne, the Wasp. I mean, those of you that read Secret Invasion, you know that towards the end, like she was like going to explode, and Thor launched her another dimension, and everybody assumed that she was dead. We find out that that's not necessarily what happened, and this issue explains, what has been going on in her life since her death, so to speak, and it's a nice little take on everybody, and of course Hank Pym is there talking to her, apologizing, like, I'm sorry, I should have found you or whatever, and she's like, what do you mean? I'm not dead. I've only been here for I think it's only been like a year or so for her, versus it's been a long time for the real world. So it's very good. 2 thumbs up.
Can Hank Pym ever really apologize enough to Janet for the various things he's done to her over the years?
Well, they do a nice little apology of leaving the coffee cup on the table.
Oh yeah, that was cool. That's a very Bendis thing. It's this big thing where they're in a microverse. It's a completely new universe to most Marvel readers. It's characters we don't know. Things are bearing down on them, but they also have this quiet little kind of domestic, not dispute, but this domestic conversation about their relationship, and it was very human and very much what's made Brian Bendis' Avengers books great over the last couple of years.
Their life is on the line, yet they still make a joke.
Yes. Next up on my picks for last week, Iron Man #1. This is my pick of the week, #1, top of the list. Iron Man #1 by Kieran Gillen with art by Greg Land. You may remember Kieran Gillen from such books as AVX Consequences, which has just been super awesome.
I love it.
Also on Journey into Mystery, and he was on Uncanny X-Men briefly. Well, not briefly. It was a good 12-issue run during the crossover, as well as just prior to that and through Fear itself. And it's so good. I am a self-proclaimed Iron Man junkie, so I am not a unbiased source by any stretch of the imagination. But Gillen is doing a great job of striking a balance between billionaire, playboy, genius, and an actual hero. You see Tony reverting a little more to his more scandalous ways than he perhaps did under the previous arc. But also the last arc ended with some serious stuff going down, so maybe Tony deserves a break. Tony needs to pick up some random chicks and bars. But basically, we're seeing a setup involving the Extremis armor, which is a storyline introduced a number of years ago now by who's that guy I hate? No, not that one. Warren Ellis. I don't hate Warren Ellis. I thought it was Grant Morrison for a second. But it was Warren Ellis' Extremis, which is generally agreed to be something that's going to be involved in Iron Man 3, so we're probably seeing some paralleling there. And if you're not familiar with the Extremis storyline, you should absolutely read it. It's one of the great modern Iron Man arcs, and it sets up a lot of what's coming forth. But I also like the way we've got sort of I like Kieran Gillen. He writes words pretty. Tony doesn't enter your monologue in this, which I'm not 100% behind. Monologue's a little lazy, especially in Tony's head. But just the things he says, the way he turns the phrase, it's really good. I just enjoyed reading it. It was fun for me to read the book, and that's all I ask for. But if you want it to be fun for you to read the book, you're in luck, because this November we're running a special promotion with the Marvel Now titles. And that includes this Iron Man, Deadpool #1, which also came out this week as part of Marvel Now, the Uncanny Avengers #1. Pretty much anything with a little red banner across the bottom, you're going to get double points, which is essentially 20% cash back on any Marvel Now book through the month of November. So go ahead and take a chance. I think you'll enjoy them.
Plus, all of the Marvel Now seem to have the AR app feature with them, which is a nice little bonus. You get the Marvel Now, plus if you have your smartphone, you scan on it, it has this little video that's going on. Nice little bit behind the scenes thing going on with that too.
Yeah, the augmented reality.
Yes.
I want to live in the Matrix. William Gibson was right. It's getting real. So that's it for last week. This week, we've got some best bets, the books we're looking forward to the most. The #1, probably the top of my list, or probably co-top of my list. There's a lot of good stuff coming out this week. This is an amazingly solid week coming out for comics. But we've got all new X-Men with Brian Bendis writing, art by Stuart Eminem, and this is, if you're not familiar, the team of the original 5 X-Men being brought into the present. And in the present, the original 5 X-Men are kind of screwed up. Beast is a big furry cat monster thing. Angel has no memory of anything. Jean is dead. Scott, a little evil, killed his mentor and is now a internationally recognized terrorist. So it's going to be great to see the parody, the interaction between the old team and the new team. And I complained as much as any fanboy about bringing people back from the dead and dead not meaning anything. But I like Jean Grey, and this puts Jean Grey back in the Marvel Universe, or a version of Jean Grey at least, and I'm excited about that.
The only one that hasn't really changed is Iceman. I mean, everybody
Well,
else has huge
Iceman
changes.
hasn't had any outward changes, but there's been a lot. I mean, from the happy-go-lucky kid he was back then,
Yeah.
I mean, he's seen some awful things. A lot of his friends have died. He's had to go through several different periods of maturity, and his mutant powers have changed a little bit. So, I mean, he's definitely not the same person, but his changes haven't been as drastic as the others. But I trust Brian Bendis to make it awesome.
Yes.
Also out this week, or next week, this week, that week that comes up soon when you're watching this.
The 14th.
When you're watching this, it's probably out. Batman number 14. This continues Scott Snyder being awesome. The Joker, Death of the Family. That's all you need to know.
Joker.
If you're not reading Batman, you're wrong, and you should pick this issue up. Batgirl 14, which is also part of the Death of the Family crossover, still written by Gail Simone, and I really liked. I've been sort of on and off with Batgirl, but I really liked the last issue that kind of wrapped up the storyline and led into the Death of the Family. And obviously, Batgirl has a serious history with the Joker that can be explored, so I'm excited for that.
And it has to do with her mom, I believe.
Yeah. Our mom. Well, that's the idea, the death of the family.
Right.
You know, the Joker's not going after Batman or necessarily even specific members of the Bat family. He's going after people near them. He's trying to cut at their heart, as it were. The other book, well, God, so many good books.
I know.
Another book that I'm super excited for is Fantastic Four #1. This is written by Matt Fraction with art by Mark Bagley. You may remember Bagley from such books as Ultimate Spider-Man for like ever, and it was awesome. Matt Fraction you may know from his amazing art on Invincible Iron Man, or his work on Iron Fist, or his currently amazing book Hawkeye, which is flying off the shelves and deserves to fly off the shelves. We get the classic Fantastic Four, you know, the original first family of Marvel. This is their new book. A lot of things kind of ended with the end of the previous arc, so hopefully he's going to take them somewhere fun. Another book out next week, part of the Marvel Now relaunch and getting you double points at Alter Ego Comics, is Thor #1. This is Thor, God of Thunder, #1. Written by Jason Aaron with art by Asad Ribic. Aaron has been sometimes I like Aaron, sometimes I don't. What I do like about Aaron is his Wolverine and the X-Men has been awesome every single issue. And so I'm hoping he can bring some of that thunder to the God of Thunder in Thor #1. So that's on the shelves. And I'd like to take this opportunity to announce to you the triumphant return of Saga.
Finally.
Woo! Saga #7, written by that guy who writes it. Why the Last Man, Runaways. What is his name?
Good guy.
He's a good guy. I like him. Art by Fiona Staples. And that's the #1 question I've been getting lately is why isn't there a new issue of Saga? Well, this Wednesday there will be one, and you should check it out. And also part of the Marvel Now relaunch, we've got X-Men Legacy #1. This one is kind of a wild card. It's a creative team I don't know much about. They don't have the track record that some of the other big names do, but they're doing a book that could be cool. It's going to follow essentially Legion, Professor Xavier's son, David Haller. Is that his name? David? Yeah.
Multiple personalities.
Yeah, Legion. He crazy, and he's an Omega level mutant. Each of his personalities has access to different mutant powers. So he's been a challenge to writers because he has so many different things he can do. It's difficult to structure stories around him. But I think this is going to be cool because it's actually the title's going to mean something. We've had an X-Men Legacy book for a while, but this is going to be about the legacy of the X-Men. This is the son of Charles Xavier seeing what his father's legacy means in this timeline and what he can do to affect it. And he crazy, like nuts. So it's going to be fun to check out. It's one of the books that could be a breakout hit if they can do it right. Well, that's all I've got.
That's all I've got.
So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, as always, you can put them below us in the comments, or you can follow us on Twitter at Alter Ego Comics, or Facebook, Facebook.com/Alter Ego Maniacs, or you can just go over to Mark's house and knock on the door anytime.